Hi, I'm Stephanie Sandifer, and today I'm here with Brian Lehmann. Did I say that correctly?
Yes.
With USA Mortgage, and I wanted to get him out here today to kind of tell us about his products. He has a different approach to the mortgage business and kind of just let everybody know what he has to offer. So thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having me.
And I've been very curious about all these questions that I asked, and you were so good about writing everything right off the bat for me, so I might have to quiz you to see if you remember what you wrote. I'm just kidding.
Did you see the sweat pop up on my forehead?
So, how long have you been in business?
Myself, I've been doing mortgage lending since 2010. I was in another financial line of business prior to that.
What did you do before that?
Prior to that, I did billing and mailing services for companies all over the country. My biggest client at that time was Home Depot.
Oh, wow.
So,
Did you ever actually go to Home Depot, or you just build them from afar?
well, I did go to Atlanta a few times, but most of the business was over in Baton Rouge. They had a division over there called Your Other Warehouse, which they sell to the competitors with.
Interesting.
And that's how I got in with them.
Okay. So you enjoy the mortgage business.
Yes.
Why did you become a mortgage lender? What made you decide to do this?
Well, if you do the math backwards, you'll see that that's about the time that the oil spill happened,
Okay.
and that wiped out a lot of the business I was doing up and down the beach, because a lot of, at that point, it was, people were making more money off claims than they were actually working.
Right.
So to stay alive, I was re-recruited to go into mortgage lending. I'd been recruited before, but I'd always been hesitant.
Interesting. And I'm actually learning on the back end a lot about the mortgage business. You know, I've been in business now starting my 7th year, and you have to take an exam, not the same exam, but you have to do kind of the same process that we have to do with real estate agents, correct?
Correct.
And it's pretty strenuous.
Yes.
It's not just like, oh, I think I just want to be a lender and I'm just going to go into business, and I don't think a lot of people know that.
Very good point. Yeah, matter of fact, a lot of folks, when they first came out with all the tests, which was 2010, a lot of the folks thought, that'll be no big deal, and it rubbed a lot of them out of the industry. And there are other folks who think they're just going to jump right in, and it's just like you said with real estate. The testing does knock a lot of folks out, because you have to study.
Right.
It's not something just out of common sense.
And we really appreciate the services that you guys provide, because our job is to get you from contract to close and show you the house and kind of figure out the prices, but a lot of times we have to call you because we don't know the answer. So,
which is perfect, and actually that's what I try to encourage people to do, both agents and clients. It's like, if you have a question, call me, even if it's on the weekend, because if people are embarrassed sometimes to ask questions. It's like, you shouldn't be. If you know all this stuff, you're a god among men.
And if you work on the weekends, we really appreciate that also. We really do appreciate that. So
Awesome.
Thank you. What is the most memorable experience you've had so far in your particular field that you're in?
That's a good question, and it's kind of funny, because I had a young lady who was married to a gentleman in Robertsdale, and he had, through their relationship, destroyed her credit, and to the point where she was in the 400s, and they were tied together at the waist with their finances. So it took us about 3 years to get everything extracted between the two of them and get her qualified to purchase a home. And part of what made it so fun was her father came up to me at the closing and says, "I don't know how you did it. I don't want to know how you did it. Just thank you for getting it done."
How did you get that done? Is that a story for another time?
The brief answer, thumbnail sketches, looked at her credit and I saw all the issues, and I just started explaining to her how to work both with the creditors and how to take care of things herself to work it out, because it took 3 years.
Wow.
I mean, he really had her messed up, but and I've got to give her all the credit in the world, because it was her stick-to-itiveness that made it happen. She still is an awesome lady.
That's really cool. That's a good story. So now this story. So, what is the oddest request that you've had from your clients?
I've had a lot of crazy stuff, but probably the most unique was somebody was wanting to buy wild animals, and I don't mean, it's just, they were wanting to get feral birds and such, and hawks, and I was kind of like, really? it's an odd request, but
So they wanted to do what? They wanted to use the money from their house to buy animals?
yes, they were setting up like their own little wildlife sanctuary, and what they were really doing is they were building cages and such, which is not always really cool with lenders.
Right.
They don't like to see your land turned into something like that. But what they had done was they had bought some other land, and that's what helped pay for it. Is they got cash out of their house, and they used it to buy the other land, and they used it to help build the sanctuaries and whatnot. And what at first it sounded like, oh my God, they're going to.
What is the name of that show that I watched during COVID? And they were talking about Carol Baskin. What is the name of that show? And it was the guy that collected tigers.
Oh yeah, Tiger King.
Yes. Was it like that?
It kind of was, but they were not as unique of individuals as he was.
Right, because he's special.
He's very special. He's funny. I'm not trying to ridicule the man. He was just, he knew he was nuts and he had a good time with it.
That's crazy. So I'm going to jump over here because what is the most random thing that you've ever watched on Netflix?
Well, I'm not the best example, but really it would be on Amazon Prime, and that would be Farscape. And I had COVID for a while, and when I did, I started watching Farscape. And it was just kind of like a Star Trek type show, but yet you didn't have to think that hard. It was based out of Australia, and it was just kind of an entertaining.
Australia has some really good series.
Yes.
Right now.
Matter of fact, and sometimes you get into their actors, and it's like British actors. You go,
Right.
oh, I know that guy.
Right. Huh. Well, I'm going to have to check that one out.
Yes.
I'll put it on my list. So, what are your pet peeves? Do you have something that you just drives you crazy? Everybody has that one thing that drives them crazy.
I have multiples, but we'll go with
Okay,
one.
what is your
Biggest
best?
one?
Your biggest and best.
Have you ever been driving down the highway and you're behind somebody's truck or car and all of a sudden garbage starts flying out of the back of it?
Yeah.
That drives me nuts, especially if I'm on a motorcycle, because that'll take me down. And I've seen guys go down because trash hit them. So that bothers me greatly.
Do you ever try to stop them?
No, because I kind of like to stay intact, and people tend to be nuts when you.
You have a motorcycle?
Two of them.
Really?
Yep.
I think maybe we did talk about that before when we went out to lunch a few months ago. What kind of motorcycles do you have?
One is a Kawasaki Vulcan, which is a cruiser type bike. The other one is a Kawasaki Concourse, which is more of a sport touring bike. And that's the one that'll get up and go and get you there fast.
How often do you get to go on your motorcycles?
Ever since COVID, it's gone down to next to nothing. Prior to that, I would take trips and spend days off riding. But ever since COVID came out, it's hard to find people willing to go out because they're afraid to get too close to other folks.
Even though you're riding kind of far and fast, I mean.
Well, think about it. A lot of the hotels wouldn't let you in.
Oh, well, that's true. If you go somewhere, you have to have a place to stay.
Yes.
You could have tent camped.
True, but we like to go to places like Daytona for Bike Week or Sturgis or things like that. And all those events were canceled, which was a crying shame because in retrospect, of course, Sturgis did go on last year, and they found out it wasn't as deadly of an event as they thought it would be.
What's coming up isn't there an event this weekend?
Mullet toss.
Where's that?
Orange Beach down at the Floribama.
Isn't there a bike event somewhere in Florida? Is it next weekend? I
Uh,
have a family member that I think is going to be going to something next weekend.
is it Thunder Beach?
I don't know. I'll get back to you on that.
Could be Thunder Beach because they do
Because
that.
they're riding their bikes there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And see, I'm kind of out of touch with it because I've been, all I do is work anymore.
Right.
If you ever want to find me, call the office. I'm there. 10 o'clock at night. Oh, there he is.
You stay till 10 o'clock at night?
Well, actually, I have my office, regular office, but I have an office in my house, and there are times.
Oh, okay.
I'm like you guys. I'll be there at midnight.
Oh,
sharp.
yes, we have strange hours.
That's right. We're strange people. We have strange hours.
What are your greatest challenges? It can be work related, or it can be something personal that you have experienced.
The true greatest challenge I'm going through right now is with my kids, because we were kind of kept apart for a while, and trying to reestablish everything with them, and they're struggling, whatnot, because they're discovering that what they'd heard was not reality. So it's been quite entertaining. But as far as life goes, everything else, life's good.
Good. So when you're not working and you're not riding your motorcycle, what are some things you like to do around town?
One of the things I like to do is go out and meet up with folks at various places, and one place that seems to be a very good meeting spot is Red and White here in town, because it's a nice casual atmosphere. They pretty much have any kind of wine you can imagine, and plus if you need something to eat, they have options for that
Their
also.
food is so good, and they make it pretty much right in front of you.
Yes, which I appreciate, because I'm a little bit of a foodie, as evidenced by anybody looking at the camera goes, look at the belly.
What do you like to get when you go there? Do you like to drink red wine, white wine?
Good question. In my case, I'm more of a red wine person. I used to drink more white wines, but I've just found that I like it not too dry, but not the sweet wines.
So you like a Pinot Noir?
Yes.
You like a lighter? I love red wine.
Yes.
And my friends know that.
Yet
and
I've never
I do love
invited.
red or white.
You guys never invite me. What's up with that?
We will invite you. Actually, I haven't been there that often since COVID.
Exactly.
I'm just now getting back into. There were certain places I would go during COVID. I felt comfortable going there, and I knew, the seating situation.
Yes.
So everything's coming back to life.
Thank God.
I know. Are you excited about Arts and Crafts Festival next weekend?
I am, because that always kind of pumps new life into everybody.
I'm excited about it.
Especially if the weather stays like it is right now. Oh my God, that'll be awesome.
I have desk duty next Saturday. I signed myself up months ago when we changed the date for Arts and Crafts, because I like to sit and people watch.
Good point.
Yes.
And like we were talking about with red and white, same type thing. You sit there, you can people watch as people walk by at work as they come in, and for some of us that's a deadly sin, because
I just like to watch, and then during Arts and Crafts, everybody's so happy and get to see all the artwork, and sometimes I visit with people I haven't seen in a long time, so I'm really excited about that.
Cool.
So I saw that you do like to ride motorcycles. I'm looking at. It says right here that you also like to eat tamaras at Tamaras.
Yes. Tamaras is a good choice, just because you can go there with a date, you can go there with friends. It's not over the top expensive. It's also, not bottom of the barrel.
Tamaras got really good food too.
Exactly. True.
I don't know one restaurant in downtown Fairhope that is not good. And people come in when I have desk duty, and they'll say, "What's your favorite restaurant? Where should we eat?" And I'm like, and I will give them at least 5, 6 choices, because every place is good.
Good point. Yeah, a lot of folks don't realize when they come here that there's the big spots you see, which are all good, but there's even the little spots sometimes are really good. Like the sushi folks, they
Oh, the Walk by the Bay.
yes.
And then there's also a new restaurant that's going to be opening up to the right of it, where Locals was. And I think it's going to be a barbecue restaurant.
Oh wow.
I walked by it the other day when they were working on the floors. So I know my boys will just be so excited, because they love meat.
It's a guy thing.
I know, it is. It is. I tend to be, I wouldn't say I'm a vegetarian, because I do like meat and fish, but if I had to pick one or the other, I would pick vegetables over the meat. So.
And see, you can do more of that with some of the Asian foods and some of the. I love when I draw a blank, but the foods that you can eat, Mediterranean. Some of the Mediterranean foods are really good like that.
Yes, like sage.
Right. And that's the funny thing is, I'm definitely a meat eater, but there are times where I like to have my vegetables done just right.
And vegetables are really good for you, which is what I tell my kids when they don't want to eat them. I said, you have to eat your vegetables.
And so that's a lesson as a kid you don't learn till you get a little bit out of the house, and you start saying, well, this really wasn't that bad.
Right.
You need to have a cook like my aunt. She could take anything and make it taste awesome.
Well, what I used to do with my boys, especially when they were little, is I would make spaghetti sauce, but I would take, I don't know, spinach, zucchini, and I had one of those emulsion blenders, and I would mix it all in there, so the vegetables were in there, they just didn't know.
Smart move.
Yes.
What? I grew up as a kid in Somerdale, and the ladies in the lunchroom, what they would do is, the kids loved to eat green beans and everything else they cooked, for the most part, but they said the trick was they would add sugar to it. Just
Really?
not a lot, just a little bit.
Bit of sugar.
And it would take some of that bitterness or edge off some of the various vegetables. And they were right. That got a lot of us to eat our vegetables at school.
I'm gonna try that, and we'll get on to another subject in a minute. But my youngest does not like a lot of vegetables, and he normally only eats raw vegetables. Which who wants to eat raw broccoli on a regular basis? So he discovered the air fryer. He loves the air fryer, and we make broccoli in the air fryer. It is so good. You have to try it.
Makes sense to me.
Do you have an air fryer?
Yes.
I love it.
See, the one thing you don't know about me is that I really do enjoy cooking.
You said you were a foodie.
Yes. And it's kind of like I have friends that'll come over, or I'll go to their place, and a lot of times I end up cooking, and as long as they're cleaning, I'm good. I'd much rather cook than clean the.
What's your favorite dish? What are you known for?
My personal favorite is crawfish etouffee or shrimp etouffee, but but I do a lot of wok type cooking, like the veggies and whatnot. And again, if you hit them with the right seasonings, especially, or if you grill them just right, oh man, I'm making myself hungry, and I just ate lunch.
You're making me hungry too. So we're going to talk about something else. We'll get back to that when we're not videoing. So if I had to ask you the question in a nutshell, how does a reverse mortgage work?
Basically, it's based off of the appraised value of the house, and as long as you meet the guidelines of being a certain percent, as an example, say you're at 50% value of your house, you can get a reverse mortgage if you're, again, in the right age group and above. I think it's 62 or above, and at that point, it's pretty straightforward. Now they do push you through some steps, but it's not anything like the straight or the forward mortgage. It's just they want to make sure that you're not being taken advantage of.
So they're trying to protect you
at all times. Yes.
Okay. So do you have a website that you have more information? If I know I've got all your social media links, and we can kind of talk about that before we close, but do you have a website that you explain the reverse mortgage, or what would be the best way if somebody's interested in doing that and has some questions? How could they get in touch with you?
The two best ways would be either call me or email me, because we don't have a website per se, because I mean there is a website, but it talks about forward and reverse mortgages, and it's not detailed enough, and we try to make everything specific to your situation. But and I'm sure that we'll have a link.
Yes, and on my Park Bench website, I include everybody's links of their information, their social media, also if they have special deals going on with their business. I put all of that on there, and I wanted to ask you, I did read on your sheet that you possibly, it says steals and deals currently on offer to cover the cost of the appraisal for any home loan that closes with me through the end of the summer. So anything else you want to add about that?
Yes, and matter of fact, there are times, we don't always advertise these things, but there are times where we will have specials within the company to help everybody. We can't have a special that helps just one group of people or one person.
Right.
It's kind of like if we're offering like the appraisal, that's for everybody. And there have been others in the past where we've helped with the closing cost to help bring it down.
But for right now, it is the appraisal. I know how much an appraisal costs, but how much normally does an appraisal cost?
They typically run anywhere from $400 to $600. And here lately, it's been shocking because they've actually come down a little bit.
Who determines the value of the appraisals?
That is done by the appraisal management company.
Okay.
What we do is, by government rule, we have to order it to an outside company, and they turn around and order the appraiser, and we don't even know who it is until after it's done.
I've had clients ask, hey, I know an appraiser, can I get them to do my appraisal? I'm like, no, we don't even really have contact with them. It's kind of just like a round robin, isn't it?
Yes. And as a matter of fact, if we try to influence it, they take a very dim view of that.
Yes. I've had that happen before.
Exactly. Funny how that worked.
Right. It all worked out in the end. Well, is there anything else that you want to kind of explain to them about the process? And I encourage you to reach out to Brian. Is there anything that you might want to tell them in closing?
Yes. As a matter of fact, most people are hesitant to call because they think, well, I don't want to bother. Call. It doesn't bother me or anyone else. That's part of our job, and we want to make sure that we help the client. It's about them.
And educate them.
Yes, because there's no benefit to me there are plenty of times I've talked to people who were either dealing with another lender or they were looking at something that wasn't here.
Right.
And I could still answer their questions because, you know, it could be my mother or it could be your mother
Right.
or whatever. We're here to help the client.
Yes. Yes. And I think it's also, especially with your product that you have, that you are a community contact.
Yes.
That if somebody has a question, that they can call you and ask you about it, and you're able to answer the phone, because that is frustrating when this is a very big decision and you can't get somebody on the phone.
Yes. As a matter of fact, if you ever call me or email or text me and I don't answer, wait an appropriate amount of time. And if you're in a real big bind, you know, 15 minutes could be appropriate. But normally, I tell everybody, wait an hour. If I haven't called you back, call again. Because that
Okay.
means I'm in a wedding.
You're in a wedding.
I'm kidding. I'm in a meeting usually, but I don't mind because there are times people are in a bind and they have to have an answer. So,
Right. Well, thank you. So you have 2 phone numbers.
yes.
What is the best phone number for them to reach you at?
The one number that is the main office is 251-616-0005. That rings all my phones.
Okay.
And the other number, which is the 752-2262, rings just my cell phone. But again, the messages and whatnot, it still end up at the cell phone.
Okay.
So
And what is your website?
it is Lehmann, which is BLEHMANN dot USA-mortgage.com,
Okay.
which is
And I will put that, because that's a lot, but I will put it on
Sorry.
on my website. Well, thank you so much for coming. And you know, we always talk and chat. Brian's very funny. He's a comedian. And did you ever become friends with my cousin that lives
yes.
in England? 'Cause
And every once in a while I see his stuff.
he's pretty witty also.
Yes.
And sometimes he makes comments on my Facebook page, and I don't even know what it means. So it's British humor. I'm not really quite sure. But I'm glad the 2 of you got connected, because your sense of humor is very similar.
Yes. Except he's the funny guy, and I'm more I think I'm the funny guy.
Well, maybe one day you'll be able to meet.
That'd be good. You know, because you got to love the Brits. They have that dry humor.
Very, very dry. Sometimes not really appropriate. But, and that's what you like.
That's right. Works for me.
Right. Well, thank you so much for watching today. And like I said before, as always, shop local, be involved in your community, and look forward to the next interview.